It's April 20th, 8 days to the federal election. Liberals at 188 seats, Conservatives at 125, Bloc at 22, NDP at 7, Greens at 1. Manitoba becoming more secure for the Liberals. The Liberals have finally dropped below 190 seats for the first time since the end of March. We can see here on the 17th they have 191 seats, and then on the 18th they have 189. Dropping down to 188 yesterday, maintaining for today. It's been a couple days since our last update. Let's take a look at where these seats have been going. So the NDP have no significant change. They're sitting at 7. They were up 9 yesterday, down 2 today to 7, but we can see here 7, 8, 7. No significant change. Now coming up to Bloc, Conservatives, and Liberals, you can see both parties gaining seats at the expense of the Liberals. Anecdotally, most people I speak to want a Liberal minority government. Most people do not want the Liberals to hold a majority again. Again, this is just an anecdote. That may be what you're seeing here. Yeah, there's also obviously the recent debates are having some effect here. As we get closer to election day, you may see people feel more confident that the Conservatives are not going to hold government at all. If that's the case, people are more likely to vote for the smaller parties to try to give the Liberals a minority government. But that's just my opinion. I still think they're going to hold a majority, but we will see. Polymarket moving in favor of the Conservatives today. Polymarket, once again, not exactly representing exactly what we see over on the polls. With Polyev at 25% and Carney at 76%. It's time for my favorite segment, the Polymarket comments. Now before we take a look at these, I want you to keep in mind, some people put bets in months and months ago, when the Liberal candidate was still up in the air. You were going to see some very funny positions when I scroll down. Okay, so Armenia has got $4.2 thousand on Chrystia Freeland being our next Prime Minister after the election. And they think maple syrup is delicious. We've got $19,000 against Polyev, which is basically for Carney. We've got this individual who has got about $1,000 against Carney, and they comment almost every day. This might be more money than they can afford to lose. Easy bid on PP. This gentleman with $36.7 thousand against Pierre Polyev. Oh my god. These are some interesting positions. We have somebody who does not understand. There's somebody who does not understand how markets work. From 23 to 29, back down to 24, all in 8 hours. Manipulation at its finest. MMs are trying to trick everyone. They have Libs winning popular vote. Libs haven't won popular vote in 20 years. The Liberals won the popular vote in 2015, so that was 10 years ago. It was a while ago. But we only have an election once every 4, so I mean, well, we did have, there was 2019 and 2021. I'm not convinced these people are the ones who are clueless. Mac murder. A lot of cognitive dissonance going on in this comment section. I highly recommend you come check it out. Here's what the CBC has to say. They still have the Liberals much higher. Here is your probability of different governments from 338 and from CBC. Let's jump into the latest Main Street research poll. As predicted by yours truly, the Conservatives are in the lead in the polls again. And like I said, they will probably continue to jump back and forth like they've been doing. This is all voters. So when I make the next video in a few days, this will probably be slightly in favor of the Liberals again. Here's your demographic data for that first poll. This is leading voters and undecided. Decided and leading voters, same thing. Polyev very slightly preferred in all of these questions. Mark Carney's strongly unfavorable, finally flipping to be more than it's strongly favorable. Don't know, dropping by 3 points since the last time we looked at this. So the debates look like they've had an impact in a negative way for Mark Carney. This is pretty typical for politicians. When people don't know you very well, the more you talk, the less they get to like you. Demographic data for that Mark Carney question. Oh yeah, favorables growing stronger than his unfavorables. Again, for the first time, we haven't seen that before. Breakdown. And once again, they didn't bother asking about Singh at all. That's it. If you come over here, as you can see, it was just the 4 questions. Not much to it. Just a short little survey from Main Street Research. We've also got new data from Laison that came out, well, it was published yesterday, 17th. So I guess that's 3 days ago. We'll take a look. We'll take a look anyway. Decided in leaning only. If a federal election were held today, which party would you vote for? And which party are you leaning towards? 44% favoring the Liberals, 39% favoring the Conservatives. The race is tightening, as predicted by yours truly. This is going to be a shorter video today. There's not too much to talk about that I haven't already spoke of, and I don't want to repeat myself too much. A lot of the things that we spoke about seem to be coming true. We said we should expect this to get closer if the individual polls are to be trusted, and they should be to a degree. We talked about how these are weighed, and how even though you may have data coming in telling you the race will be very close, if we're still looking at data that stretches back to the beginning of the month, and we are, as you can see here, then your overall large poll trackers, they won't reflect that yet. But you will see them converge as we get closer to the date, and that is exactly what's happening here. So I think this election could potentially be close. You could even potentially see a Liberal minority. I think that would be great. I think we need that. I've already voted. I did not vote for the Liberals. I didn't vote for the Conservatives either. We spoke about the dangers of the two-party system, about how our current electoral system encourages people to abandon the small parties whenever something important comes up that they're really worried about. A lot of people were concerned that Polyev isn't the right guy, so they're abandoning the small progressive parties. We're starting to see some life coming back into at least the bloc. So we will see how that continues. So to finish up the video today, we'll just talk a bit about voting and how you can actually do it. Yeah, maybe you've never done it before, maybe you wanted to, maybe you just turned of age to vote. Most of my audience have been able to vote for a couple of years by now. So most of you haven't voted, you're registered, you know that you're registered. My audience, I think over 50% of my audience is over 50 or something like that. So most of you know what you're talking about here, and you'll probably just leave, and that's fine. But for anybody else, if you don't even know if you're registered to vote, you start here. You click this little button, you enter some of your information. Don't worry, it's nothing crazy. I think. Maybe it is. I don't actually remember what you tell them. But it's official. This is the government website, so it's fine. And then they'll tell you if you're registered to vote, what riding you're registered in case you moved recently and you're not sure. If you want to be registered to vote in the riding you're currently in, that is a process you will have to do very quickly. Otherwise, maybe just vote in the other one. But how do you vote? Let's talk about that a little bit. Right? Do you have to vote on election day? Well, no, but it's the best way to do it. Right? So you'll have a voting card that you got in the mail. You should have gotten it in the mail. It'll tell you where to vote. Just go there. It's pretty straightforward. Go there anytime between 12 hours. The hours depend. Sometimes it's like 9 to 9, 8 to 8. But they're open all day effectively. Right? So you just go there. Go there on the day. Go there ahead of time. You can go there ahead of time. Advanced polling at a polling station. You can vote early at any Elections Canada office. These are not polling stations, so the process is a bit more drawn out. It takes longer, but most people don't even know you can vote at an Elections Canada office, or they don't understand the difference. So typically Elections Canada office is not really busy. I went to one on a Saturday because I had to. That's why I've already voted. I live in one province. I actually live in another province. It's a bit of a story. But regardless, I had to go here because I needed to get, I'm outside of my riding. So I had to go vote here. There was no one there. There was nobody at the elections office. It was a great experience. We brought my grandfather who, he had a hard time getting in. They gave him special permission to skip the line. They'll do anything for you to get you to vote. They want you to vote. Advanced polling stations are only open until tomorrow, so you might miss out on that. You can always go to an Elections Canada office, and like I said, they are not very busy. And they are all set up specifically to do the special ballot process right now. Call ahead of time, ask when a good time is if you're not sure. They'll be happy to help you out. But if you're able, If you can, please just vote on the regular day so that we're not overwhelming the system for people who need to use these processes, because I was one of them, my grandfather was one of them, and it was quite nice not having to wait all day, I'll tell you that. So when I was at the election office yesterday, the lady explained to us that this is already no longer an option. So the deadline has technically not been met, but any competent voting office worker is just not going to let you do it anymore, because what happens is you apply either in person or online, and then they have to mail you a ballot kit. They mail you a special ballot kit. The election's in 8 days. Who knows how long that'll take. You then mail that kit or submit it, bring it physically back to the office, and they mail it to Ottawa. Your vote will not get to Ottawa before the 28th. It's not going to happen. Do not try to vote by mail. You're just going to forfeit your vote, because once you apply, that's it. You can't change your mind. You can't vote any other way. So please do not try to vote by mail anymore. You're too late. As long as you can physically get yourself to an Elections Canada office, you can still vote early. If you want to do the advanced pollings, you have today and you have tomorrow. That is done at your polling station, okay? Your polling station is on your polling card. If you didn't get one, or if you're not sure, see the link that I showed at the beginning of this segment. If you're outside of your riding, if you have issues with mobility, get yourself to an Elections Canada office before the 22nd. You still have 2 days. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget to vote.